instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Well, welcome everybody into another episode of the Flagstick Podcast. I am Jeff Botter, and with me as always is Scott McLeod. And the Flagstick Podcast is sponsored again this week by Adidas. Adidas introduces the Ultimate Tour 365 heat apparel and ZG23 event footwear to help golfers handle the heat this season. The collection features a mix of silhouettes for men and women made with heat-ready and no-show technology to keep golfers cool and dry so they can perform their best. Both the ZG23 event and Ultimate 365 Tour apparel are available now on adidas.ca, the Adidas app, and of course selected retailers worldwide. Just quickly, follow us on social media. It's how we bring the information. Follow us on social media, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And we encourage you, as always, to hit us up on the YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell, and make sure that you never miss a single episode. Well, Scotty Mac,
hey,
here we are, another week.
I'm going to add to that, though, to people. It's not just about following us. I will tell you
Engage
that
with us.
This past week alone, I've done everything from helping people pick out equipment, help people make travel arrangements to go to different places, answered all sorts of questions about various players, so forth. These are the conversations we want to have. And on the other side of it, we've been asking and getting feedback on various things as well. So, you know what? It's a community more than it is just a follow. So don't think about it that way. And we'd love to get your interaction there, as we have for the last 27 years in everything that we do. But yeah, just join us there, hang out. Got a question? Fire away.
Yeah, it's all of that stuff that we talk about through social media and all that interaction that we have are topics that we know are of interest to you, our listeners, our viewers, and we bring that stuff up here on the podcast. We get those things posted over on flagstick.com. That's how this whole golf news, golf information thing goes, right? We're here to support you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we spend a lot of time around golf. We spend a lot of time reading about it. We spend a lot of time watching it, listening to it, talking to people deep in the industry that the average consumer and the average golfer would not have access to easily. So we can bring that information to you. So hit us up,
Yep, 100%.
That's what we're here for. It's what we've been doing for, my gosh, how many years is it now? 27 years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that's insane, but that's insane.
Yeah.
27 years.
You know what's good this week, Jeff?
What's that?
One, we got to see each other.
Yes.
Before we
we'll be talking about what that was all about.
Which was nice for sure. And there's although it's the end of August, lots of stuff still going on, lots of golf still going on. A lot of things to look forward to in golf, be it Labor Day weekend coming up. I'm sure people have lots of plans to get out and play, but
I got a couple of exciting rounds of golf planned for this weekend with my son Brandon. Call him some bucket list golf. Bucket list golf, but
he's trying to knock a few off the list.
Exactly. All right, well, on the front nine today, we're going to catch up on a little bit more of Canadian golf news. Not a ton of news talk in this episode. We got some other things we want to talk about, so we're going to kind of get through some news real quickly in the front nine. We're going to head back out to the lesson tee with Kevin and Jake Haime again. It's nice to have the two of them back on the podcast, sharing some instruction, insight, and such with us. So we'll have them at the end of the front nine, the home stretch of the front nine, if you will. And on the back nine, we're going to talk some Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
You can't get more timely. And this is going to be some ongoing conversation for a while, because there's
rolling
drama.
Up my sleeves.
There's drama surrounding the Ryder Cup before the Ryder Cup even happens. Teams get selected, but now we've got a team. Now we get some real
one team. We got
discussion.
one team. So
yes, far. One team.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So we'll talk about that a little bit, and that'll just be some natural discussion.
You got
golf talk. So let's get off to the front nine, presented by Metcalf Golf Club. A natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Still a ton of golf left to be played this year. So why not save a little bit of money on the green fees that you're paying and buy some game packs and get ready to hit the first tee this fall, September, kind of fallish. Visit metcalfgolf.com and get those game packs and shop now. So right off the bat, intersectional season is kind of wrapping up now.
Yeah, it is.
OVG intersectionals down the Kingston Way. It's kind of wrapping up, and congratulations, of course, to the Ottawa Hunt and Golf Club for winning the OVGA Senior Men's Intersectional A Division.
Yeah, third year in a row for that one.
Can't host anymore.
Cannot host.
Take a year off.
Yeah, so we've got the full results up at flagstick.com, every single division. Want to thank everyone for taking the time to send in score sheets, photos, all sorts of different things. We're getting people into that habit now. We appreciate it. The other golfers appreciate it as well, because again, that was a big thing this week. A lot of people are messaging, hey, have you heard the results from N, or have you heard results from C? And the fact that people are willing to take the time, get it sent in. I'm basically sitting there on the laptop, getting it posted as quickly as we can. And it's a good resource, and we're happy to do that. And yeah, it's good to see. So not much left in the intersectional season. And, I think you're getting it there to it as well. Quinny Kingston intersectionals, they've completed, I think, 7 of their different competitions now.
Yeah, because they do it a little bit differently down there. They don't have one specific day where everything happens and everything gets completed. It's a little more scattered.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still fairly well organized. Thanks to Blair Harris down there, who's my contact in dealing with that. He sent over a fair bit of it. I'm going to get that posted ASAP, and then I know they've got more coming to us as well. And yes, we'll definitely get that up there for all those people down in the Quinty Kingston region for their intersectionals.
It's funny really, when we talk.
Before you get to that, I mean, one of the things I saw online was when we were posting these. I saw a number of tweets from people in Alberta and all sorts of places going, why don't we have these? So just know, if you're in Eastern Ontario and in Montreal region as well, which has intersectionals, you are definitely you're admired and fortunate, because other parts of the Canada just don't have them.
Here's a question. Sure. Is it still a tweet?
It's an X. Like, it's still a tweet. I mean, people still
call they seriously call it an X? Is that what they want you to call it? As an X?
No, people are sitting there going, is it a tweet or whatever? But I mean, people are still, it's a tweet. I mean, by default, until there's something better, it's a post is really what it is. It's a post is what they're after with it, because now it went from a retweet to a repost. So it's basically a post on X. But I'm still going to call it a tweet for all the time.
Dumb move. I'm sorry. That's just dumb. Yeah, it's such a... Anyway, whatever. It's interesting about intersectionals because, and we talk about, getting the results in and, people forwarding. I used to get these results.
Yeah, I know.
When the intersection was happening, I was making phone calls. And chasing down results from each location. And they were faxing them in on one of those fax machines with the thermal paper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's how we used to get the results.
I mean, we still have to chase. I'm not saying everybody
but I mean,
good about getting it.
It's just the nature of it. I remember the fax machine, faxes, you'd be sitting there at 11 o'clock at night and there'd be results coming in and the fax machine be going and they'd come in and I'd be typing them into the computer. And
thank you to Sherry Thompson for getting the fill-ins. They obviously get us from the OBGA. They get us the complete results once they get them in there. We just like to get them up quicker. And, in that point, I would like for people to know and realize and understand this is part of the value of a resource of local golf coverage and journalism. This is part of the value of supporting it and supporting this type of journalism, because thousands of people, are going to see these results when they get posted. And, being affiliated with, a company like ours, who's willing to do that, willing to put those together and get them posted. Those are eyeballs for golfers. Those are golfers you want to reach. So don't be shy. If you want to be a marketing partner, we're always open to talk. And I'm not just trying to be a pitch man here. I'm just trying to make people realize and understand this is part of the value
Yeah.
of outside media, not just sending out your own newsletters, your own social media, or whatever. We're an outside party. We're doing things that attract the whole of the golf community, not just the ones that are, at a specific club or so forth.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's look at this is our platform. If
Yeah.
we want to do shameless plug marketing, that's fine. I mean, we've been at this for 27 plus years now, and we've been delivering the information. We've been covering the events. We've been reporting on anniversaries. We've been reporting on, building a new bunker, change. I mean, even look at the stuff that with Redoview right now. And reviewing this major bunker project. I mean, we've been dabbling in what they've been doing out there since they started, and when that project is complete, we'll do something a little more extensive when it's finished, so that we can show what's been done in the process and stuff like that. We do that for everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter what golf facility it is. If you've got information that's not what we would consider advertising,
for sure, it's a story.
It's a story. Then that's what we're here for. That's what we've been here for. Print magazine or not, content is delivered.
Outlet.
It's just that we're a media outlet, and we're as regional as it gets, people. So
I mean, anyway. We take care of that. We take care of that aspect of it. We cover a little bit of everything, but that's the value. So that's my elevator pitch for today.
Elevator pitch complete. All good. What else do you want to talk about?
CPKC Women's Open,
right?
Obviously, that was a big one. Just finished up out in Vancouver, which was we talked about it on the last show. It was nice to have the tournament back in Vancouver. 15 Canadians in the field. Unfortunately, only 2 made the cut. Brooke happened to be one of them, or Brooke Henderson from Smith Falls, and then Elena Sharp. Brooke managed to have a little bit of a comeback on Sundays, as did Elena. They both shot 68 on the final day, which should be recognized by everyone that it was 2 Canadians that were shot 68 on a very difficult golf course. Brooke didn't have her best on a couple other days. It was still some great golf. Megan Kang. So Brooke ended up T13, Elena T36. Megan Kang got the win in a playoff. This player has played on the tour for 8 years, started super young out on the tour. This was her first win. She wins it in a playoff with Jin Young Ko. A great finish for the tournament. And I know there was about 3 million plus raised for the CPKC Has Heart program, which is really the biggest thing out of this event. And I know, Lori Kane, who's their ambassador, was super excited. She was out there and involved, and just to see how much of that money was raised and to go into the local community as far as healthcare for kids.
No, it's awesome, and it's good. It's good to see especially Elena Sharp there. Well, just need to, both of them just need to connect 4 rounds together.
Yeah,
it's kind of an up and down. I think Brooke was 75-68, 75-68.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good for Elena. Elena's 10th on the money list on the Epson Tour. She's played primarily on the Epson Tour this year. She's looking to get her card there. She's already had a win this year. She's had a lot of great finishes leading into this, and I think that just gives her that much more confidence. And it's great to see. I mean, she's 42 now. She's a veteran player. But she still wants to be out there. She still knows she has some good stuff and that she can compete. And it's good to see. And I just, not to knock any other outlets or things like that, but I just don't think that maybe she gets the respect that she deserves. A lot of the attention is on Brooke, which deservedly so. She is certainly the the face of Canadian women's golf for sure, and arguably Canadian golf in general. But Elena obviously played super well there as well, and deserves that respect.
Cool. All right. Now we talked off the top, but we finally had a chance to actually play and see each other, in person for a while. Because I mean, truth be known, you're in Kingston, I'm in Ottawa. You got your side of what you do here with Flagstick, and I've got my side of what I do. So we don't exactly cross paths as often as we used to.
Well, not in person, right? We're at events and so forth. But yeah, I mean, playing golf is never, it's not always on the schedule when we get together.
No. So we had an opportunity to to play a little match.
Yep.
My son Brandon is and his good friend Shane Stanley, who's
Yep.
up and comer on the junior. Well, up and comer. He's at the end of the junior circuit, but he
Yeah, I'm a
certainly is
solid
his
player.
very
Until
solid.
played Ontario Junior this year, so yeah, good
So
player.
we hooked up a little round down at Smuggler's Glen and decided to do a little fun 2-man scramble match play with you and I, the 50 plus, against the
Teens.
18 the U18
Yeah, the U18
the
squad.
U18s, and I don't know, Scott. I
Oh,
mean,
just say it. We beat them
uh, we
3-2.
we beat them 3-2. I mean, we had them dormy.
Yeah.
Two
It
up
was a
with two to
tough
play.
match.
It
Tough
was, it was,
match.
it was, and despite the fact that like it's okay, I don't hit it as far as I used to,
Yeah,
but I hit it in play a lot. So
which helps.
I did my thing, you did your thing. We had a lot of wedges. Um, the kids, Shane hits a big ball.
He does.
Brandon struggled off the tee a little bit, but he didn't. What he didn't do for them off the tee, he did for them
Oh, he made some
he
putts.
made some putts, hit a lot of
Yeah,
approach shots,
yeah.
and that match was yeah. We had him 2 up with 2 to play, so we knew we weren't losing.
No,
And
but
then we shut that thing down. And
let's.
this we were 11 under.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna say.
played
To
out
be said,
18. We were 11 under
yeah, we had to.
2-person scramble.
Yeah, we had to shoot 11 under to beat them. So I mean, it's not like we were chopping it around there or whatever. We had to make some birdies and so forth.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing, I mean, there's a couple of points that I wanted to take out of this and have a little bit of discussion is the fact of that, you know, everybody gets busy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets busy with life, doing all sorts of different things. And, a constant within the golf industry, and I've been guilty, you've been guilty, is to always say, oh, yeah, we'll get that game. Yeah, we'll get that game. We'll
Yeah.
get that game this year. And hey, it happens to me all the time. And there's lots of people I would love to play with, but sometimes you just don't make the time to do it, or you just don't make enough effort to do it. And I think it's important that you do it for a couple of reasons. One, um, it's that experience of playing with friends, of
Mm-hmm.
going out and especially ones that you don't see all the time. It rekindles sort of part of the reason why you're connected, and that's one of the magics of golf that way. And I think even just going and taking that time, even if it's 9 holes, whatever it is, I mean, find a way to do it. And I think everybody knows that, but it's just, you just need a reminder. just
Mm-hmm.
just just go and find a way. And it doesn't matter where it is. In this case, it was a course that we like to play a lot, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed the day. I really had a great time. And whether we won or not, it was still going to be a great time. It was nice to play with the
Yes,
kids. Nice
it
to play with the
was.
kids. And that's part of it too,
Yeah.
is going and playing with another generation. It's not just, hey, old guys showing, hey, the young guys that we can still get it around, which is always fun to see, because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, come on. They're not expecting it. Every young kid is going to be, you know, maybe a little bit brash and confident, and that's perfectly fine. I like to see it. But it's nice to get out and play with them.
Oh yeah, and yes, we do enjoy Smuggler's Glen a lot, and
Yeah.
the round wrapped up with a good buffalo chicken wrap, which is always a good. It was the go-to during the Flagstick shootout this year. The
Yeah.
go-to meal
Yeah.
was the
Yeah, it
buffalo
was.
chicken wrap. I think I didn't get tired of it. Believe me, it's so
No.
yummy.
I mean, I'm fortunate I get to do some teaching down there, so I'm around that facility a fair
Hmm.
bit, but I just don't get out on the golf course enough. And it's a good reminder as well of how good the golf is in the region, how many golf courses are underrated. And I know there's, publications and different things that do ratings and stuff and public golf courses and things, but man, and that was a discussion I actually had some with somebody this week, trying to define, among 2,400 golf courses in this country, of, the margin between a Smugglers or pick something else or whatever, as far as being a top public course in Canada. I mean, it's just, it's useless really, in a sense, because, I know everybody that goes down there and plays, like, goes, wow, this is a great golf course. And they can say that in a lot of cases, in many parts of Ontario and Quebec as well.
Well, the thing with the thing is with the ranking stuff is to truly, to me anyway, to truly have a ranking system that is very much unbiased. You would have to have it would have to be like, for us, instance, if we had the flagstick.com golf course rankings for this region. Yeah. Okay. So we went out, we wanted to rank our golf courses. We had to have our top 50.
Sure.
To truly do it, we would have to have a committee, a panel of raters that included ourselves, and some independent players, golfers from around this region. And that group would have to play, to me anyway, would have to play all of the golf courses in the region at least once, all of them. Experience it from clubhouse to pro shop to first tee to 18th green. Have to experience. All of you would have to do it, and all of you would have to be ranking on the same ranking sheet in order to come up with a ranking from say it's 10 people or 8 people that are doing the rankings. It's still a small sample to say 8 people rank these golf courses, but at least it's the same 8 people. Now we know for a fact, like our good friend Lisa Vluswick from out in Calgary.
Yeah.
She's on the ranking committee for I think she's on the ranking committee for Score Golf.
Yeah, I think she might be on the digest panel as well. So
okay, so she's one of the rankers, right? So she does her ranking, but Lisa's never played anything in here.
Right.
She never played a golf course in Ottawa. So she's not ranking the golf courses here. No. She's only ranking the golf courses that she has played. So she might rank, golf courses from PEI that she's played. But what about the ones that she hasn't played? Or she might rank golf courses in Calgary because she's probably played them all. So she's got a good sense of what those golf courses. So she's more than capable of ranking the golf courses. They're all more than capable of ranking the golf courses they've played. But if not everybody's played the same golf courses, how do you come up with a top 50?
Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
They're never in a position to compare golf courses. That's the thing, right? So I get it from an independent standpoint, but I also, and we can have a whole show about this. There's 100 and some odd people that are on that panel of 40 million people in Canada. So when you start to think about the validity of trying to do ranking, it's a near impossible task, and it's really so subjective, and you're trying to make it as objective as possible with the ranking categories and things. That's perfectly fine, but the weight of it, I mean, if you had to do a survey and you said, okay, what's the accuracy level of a survey, and we're trying to do a polling for 40 million people, but we're only going to poll 100, it doesn't.
Well, exactly.
It's interesting. It doesn't compute.
I was looking at the rankings that were recently published, and for the longest time, the number one ranked golf course in these rankings was the National. The Nationals.
Well, it's not in it because it's a women's only or a men's only club. They chose not to include them in the rankings.
Right. So, but for the average person that doesn't know that, all of a sudden this golf course just vanished from the list.
Yeah.
And honestly, they were number 1, then they were number 2, then they were number 3, then they were number 5. Then they gradually worked down further and further down the list to the point now where they're not on the list at all for obvious reasons. But
for courses that were on the list, here's the other side of it. Go back and look at a rating from 1990 and the courses that were the hot commodity at that point that are still around, which really, if everything was equal and you're not comparing other golf courses in that era, that golf course should hold up.
I think so. We haven't had that many new ones open. So how does it change that much?
Some new ones, but it drops so far out. And the problem that I have is I get it from manufacturers, or golf courses. They want to be, highest ranking possible. They want to use that from a marketing standpoint and stuff. But is it really that great to say you're the 88th golf course in the country or the 102nd because you're just outside the 100. I mean,
Well, I think given the
some
number of golf
value,
courses, I would say yes to them
sure.
being ranked 88th in the country.
Yeah.
Or even in the province of Ontario, given that there's thousands of golf courses to choose from in the province. I'd say being in the top 100 is a pretty big deal, and I think that's part of the problem. I don't believe that there's that it's a dollars and cents thing.
No. I'm not saying
I think that the rankings, I think that the ones that are ranking ranking numbers, it's like if it's kind of like
well, you can't be. Here's the thing: a course has to be included. They can only be included in the ranking, I believe, if 7 raters go in and visit them during that period of time.
Right.
So they have to get raters out there. But there's golf courses that are good that just don't get raters.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's the problem, right?
And then how do you go about it? And then on the other side of it as well is there's still biases within the people. Like I hate the fact that I saw one person who I know is involved with some other rankings and some things, and somebody asked them on social media, "Oh, I'm going to this area. Where do I go?" And they said, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the course to go. Forget the rest. That is what they said. Like the arrogance of that statement. Forget the rest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, we always did the Reader's Choice Awards. Okay.
Yes.
So we always did a Reader's Choice Awards. And so our readers chose their rankings. Right. Now, there's always going to be a bias amongst your reader, even the readers, even when we recuse ourselves from formulating an opinion.
Yeah.
The readers are going to have their favorites. If they're a member at a certain club, then they're going to rank their club higher than another club. Or if they generally play one club over another on a regular basis, they're going to rank. The hope is that you get enough people
to help
entry
the
to
bias.
kind of balance it out and move the bias.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's more that's less subjective.
Correct.
Than doing it by panel and turning it into a flat out popularity contest.
Yeah, and I get it. You're trying to qualify the panel, so you're trying to make sure they're as expert as possible. In the end,
the top are the top. I mean, let's face it. You look at the number one ranked golf course is Cabot Cliffs. Is that not the number one ranked golf course? It probably is. Even if you said the top 10 in no particular order, are this. They probably are the top 10. If you and I went and played those 10 golf courses, we'd probably say, they're definitely. We have played two
I've played
Cabot.
tons of them. I've tons of them on this list.
There's nothing to suggest, but the further you go down the list, that's when it starts to become more of a problem because less and less people have played each golf course.
Well, I think you start to see it when you see digests or golf.com, some of their lists, talking about the top 30 Canadian courses, or you see something on like a Golf Pass or whatever. I mean, it just becomes ridiculous. And really, in most cases, it's there, and everybody that's involved with them, I'll talk to lots of them. I know lots, obviously, the people involved with various panels. They'll clearly admit it's a conversation piece, but the problem is that people don't weigh it that way. I know of a golf course, for an example, that has, we're the number one 9-hole golf course in this area based on this. Well, it's still on their website. That publication doesn't exist anymore. And it was proven that publication, basically the panel, there wasn't a panel. It was just one person who basically created their own ranking. And this golf course still says it. So it's sort of, I get it from a market.
I mean, we could do it. I mean, we've played every single golf course in this region. We could very easily, the two of you, we could sit down and say, okay, let's rank them. We could rank them, but oh my God, we'd lose advertisers left, right, and center.
But it's not about just one, Yeah, but it's not just about the advertiser. It's about the credibility.
No, but that's how how the bias gets created. Is because now we're going to be looking at everything. So, I would definitely rank them number one, but they spend more money with me than these two. So that's what we can't do it because it's always going to be stuck in the back of your head that if I do this and everybody knows it, because we got asked the old Ontario Golf. We used to get asked all the time, and they were transparent about who the rankers were. It's like, are you kidding me? You want me to tell you who we think the top 50 golf courses are?
Well, we knew how that worked because they published the top 3 or top 5, And I remember getting a phone call from the one course. How did you rank? Why do you rank that course higher than that course? Well, okay, it's my opinion, but of course they're going to have a bias towards their own facility. They weren't asking for the sake of, why do you think that is? Is there something we can do better? It was more of accusatory of
why are you doing that?
And so I get it. I get it. It's a click thing. It's an attention thing. It's a conversation thing. It's cool to have, but it doesn't have as much validity as people think. That all to say, courses like Smugglers are fantastic. Probably need more recognition. Don't get any rankers. And I'm not saying it's a top 100 golf course in the country. I'm just saying it's a high quality golf course that doesn't get enough attention. And there are hundreds like it across the nation, across North America, that are worth playing. And just because they're not on a list doesn't make them any less worthy.
Given that we have played a large number of golf courses on that list, I know for a fact, in my personal opinion, that Smuggler's Glen should be somewhere on that list. But at the end of the day, why they're not, don't know. Could be a number of reasons.
Geography. Look where they are. They're not in a major city, so they're not usually in an area where people will get to. They haven't had the discussion. There's so many factors. That again, whether it's Whitewater up in Northern Ontario, or they pick them. There's so many tons. You talk about public golf courses. There's courses that I know that, man, I would go, and if I tell people to go to that region, I tell them to go play. And they should be higher up. Now, eventually some of those secrets come out. But again, then that means somebody else has to go off the list rather than go on. All this to say as well, you know what? Be the best golf course for your customer. Be number one for your customer, and nothing else matters.
That takes care of it all.
Yep.
Okay, we got to get out of here. We've chatted a bit, which is a good thing. We got to get out. Well, we don't got to get out yet. We're going to head out to the lesson tee. Presented by Kevin Haime Golf School. It's always the right time to play better golf, whether you need a private lesson, a better short game, some putting help, or custom club fitting. Visit kevinhaime.com, and remember that better golf is a lot more fun. Let's head out to the lesson tee and see what Kevin and Jake have in store for us this week.
Happy Tip Tuesday, golfers. Today, Jake, we're out on the short game complex, and you are going to chip, my friend, and teach people how to chip. So it's a simple little shot. When you're close to the green, you just got to bump the ball onto the green, let it roll to the pin. A lot of people struggle with this. They don't understand the concept of the shot, or a lot of times we see people always just like to use a chipping iron. They use an 8-iron or a 7-iron every single time. We don't like that.
No. It makes sense in as much as you only have one club, means one decision. But it means you have to be much more talented if you want to pull the shot off, because every club has a specific flight to roll ratio, everybody. And so if you're in the right situation, using your 8-iron is a great idea. But in any other situation, you're going to have to adjust your technique, your rhythm to make it work, and that's hard to do.
Adjust loft condition or impact conditions, more loft, less loft. You've got to be talented to do that. We'd much rather keep it simple and let the club do the work. So let's see the setup. I'll describe it quickly. Jake will have a nice narrow stance, not a lot of body movement here, if any. He's got the front foot pulled back just slightly, so it's out of the way of his follow through. The hands are a little forward, the ball's a little back, and he keeps the weight on the lead leg. This condition here with the hands forward and the ball back adds a little shaft lean, so that club will swing up and then down a little bit. Just scuff into the turf and send the ball onto the green.
Yeah, that's basically the feeling I have. If I just brush the turf from here, it'll land in the circle and roll down to the pin.
There we go. So that's Jake's sand wedge. It's typically 1 part flight to 1 part roll. Every time he's in a situation where he has a chip 1-to-1, use a sand wedge, right?
Absolutely.
What's next? Show us the next shot.
Well, so if we go to the next pin, it's a little farther away. It's going to play about a 1-to-3 given where my circle is. So I'm going to grab my 9-iron. So a 1-to-2, everybody, would be a pitching wedge. A 1-to-3 is my 9-iron, and from there I kind of progress through my set. That's how this works.
1-to-2 is the pitching. You know, Jake, same narrow stance. Choke up a little on the club. You almost stand exactly the same. Hands and weight forward, about 4 inches in front of the ball. Little chipping motion into the circle. The ball will roll a little more because it's a less lofted club and go right to the next flag.
Absolutely.
There we go, 1-to-3. Another tap in for another par. Grab that last club, Jake. same motion.
Yeah, so
now you've got to hit the ball a little harder with less loft, which is why it rolls more to get it in the circle, correct? And that's a little bit of practice.
Yeah, I do
but
need,
not a lot.
I do need practice to learn how big a swing I need to take with each club to land it on my landing spot. But once you learn to do that, because your setup's identical every time, the club is doing a lot of the work for me. It's as easy as brush the grass.
Chipping it and let it run. There we go. So you've got a 1-to-1, 1-to-3, 1-to-5. In this case, a sand wedge, a 9-iron, and a 7-iron.
Yep.
1-to-4 would be an 8-iron. 1-to-2 would be a pitching wedge. Adopt this technique, practice with different clubs. Keep the swing simple, the technique simple. Let your clubs do the work. You'll get a better short game.
More great golf instruction is what Kevin and Jake have in store for us this week.
Yep.
Another great tip.
Yeah, and you know what? End of August, it's still lots of time to work on your golf game. I mean,
you can do it. Make sure you head to kevinhaime.com to see more of the tips that you just saw there. They're on their YouTube channel. They're posted on their website. So you can go and check those out. You can also check them out at flagstick.com. All right, now we have to get out of here, take a quick break.
Yeah.
When we come back, we are going to discuss some Ryder Cup. Now that it's here and closer and closer than ever, we're going to have some good discussions over the next bunch of weeks surrounding the Ryder Cup, and then eventually some Solheim Cup talk as well. So stay with us. You're listening to the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. We'll be right back. Adidas introduces the Ultimate 365 Tour Heat Apparel and ZG23 Event footwear to help golfers handle the heat this season. Both the ZG23 Event and Ultimate 365 Tour Apparel are available now on adidas.ca, the Adidas app, and selected retailers worldwide. All right, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast with myself, Jeff Potter, and this other guy, Scott McLeod. As promised, on the back nine this week, presented by Castleview Golf Club, only a short 25-minute drive from Ottawa. This 18-hole layout is renowned for its superb conditions and unsurpassed service, making it a must-play in the capital region. 5, 10, and 20-round packages are available. Visit castleview.com for more information. We're going to get into some Ryder Cup talk. And I'm excited about this. I'm very, very excited about this. The one thing that I look forward to, and I'm going to say this, haters or not, the one thing I do look forward to every 2 years is the Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup. I do not look forward to the President's Cup. And I do in the sense that it's nice that the Canadians get to play in this type of an event. Yeah. But at the same time, it just doesn't have the same feel to it. It probably does for the players of the international team more so than the American team. But it probably has more for the people that go to watch it live and the players. But
which
for me,
obviously here in Canada, having it here in 2024 at Royal Montreal, it's going to be a bigger buzz about it for sure. But it just doesn't have the legacy yet.
No, and it doesn't. And there's a certain, I don't call it. It was funny because I was watching a replay of the 2016 Ryder Cup at Hazeltine, and particularly the Rory McIlroy Patrick Reed match. And I'm by no means a Patrick Reed fan now, then, or ever. But
it was a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, that was something else. And the thing is, it came across as just a complete disdain for one another, but it wasn't, because then you saw them going off the green after, I forget what hole it was, but
cheering each other on.
Rory had just rolled in like a 35-40 footer for birdie, and Reed then rolled a 20 footer on top of it, and there was the finger shaking, but then they embraced us. They were walking off the green like, this is what it's all about, man. Like, this is.
Here's the thing: when you get to play a competition in golf, which in most times for golf, and this is what makes college golf special as well. And most times in golf, you play for yourself. It's an individual sport. So when you have the opportunity to play for a team, it's different when you're playing for somebody else. So there's a different feel to it, a different hype to it. You've got that camaraderie going within the team. It just adds a whole different element that you're not used to seeing week after week. And we know from ourselves, just within the Ping Challenge Cup, which is the club pro competition here in the Ottawa Valley zone of the PGA of Canada, just captaining those. I mean, you're not doing a lot as far as the outcome of it.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate last year to be playing, and you get that sense of what's going on, and you work hard to do what you can for yourself, but ultimately you're just trying to get the points for the team. And
well, it's funny too,
respect.
because I actually had someone email me last week, and the email topic was surrounding Ryder Cup and Live Golf, and the person said in the email that Live Golf is just doing every year what the Ryder Cup does, Live Golf is doing every event what the Ryder Cup is doing every 2 years. And I said, no. I said, here's the difference. No. The Ryder Cup, if you want to bring this more to understand it from a local, bring it down to a level. The Ryder Cup is the intersectionals,
100%,
and Live Golf is men's night.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it is, man. They're playing in these team events. There's nothing on the line except whatever they're playing for, because there's already wallets are already full.
Yeah,
they're just out there having a blast. The music's going.
The aces versus the cliques doesn't really.
But that's what I mean.
Like
you have your men's list. I used to play in a men's league at Metcalf Golf Club way back when, and we had a team name, and we had teams, and we all went out and we played in a foursome. We didn't play with our teammates. We played in a foursome, and at the end of the day they tallied up all the points, and the winning team got a sleeve of balls and a pitcher of beer or something like that. To me, that's exactly what Live is. Live is men's night every week. It's what men's night is. And
here's the thing.
And the Ryder Cup is the intersectionals.
The Ryder Cup, and I mean, I know obviously the players, they get expenses taken care of and everything, and obviously now they get money that goes to a charity they can designate or whatever. But in the end, it's not about that. It's about pride. It's you and me playing against Brandon and Shane. It's a pride thing. Even if you're playing for $20 or lunch or whatever the case may be, it's not about that.
Don't want to lose.
You just don't want to lose. I mean, so that's what adds into that element of why things become so important during the Solheim Cup. They do become important as well for the President's Cup. But I think part of the feeling that we all get around all these competitions has to do with media exposure, highlights, our own attachments to the players involved. As well as I that, part of the reason why a lot of the Americans, won't be as interested in what happens with the European teams is they don't know some of the players, right? There's more interest now in the Ryder Cup for Americans on what the European team is doing, because they know McIlroy, they know Hatton, they know Rahm, they know Hovland, they know these players. But if you ask them to feel anything towards Adrian Meronk, they're going to go, who? So again, it becomes about that tangibility and that names of knowing those players. That's sometimes a struggle a little bit with the President's Cup, because again, lack of heritage, not as much familiarity with the players. That is getting more common, so that gets better that way. And it's hard just to manufacture something. It'd be just like, okay, we're going to pick a tournament, we're going to make the Barracuda Championship a major championship. Well, just because you designated it doesn't make it have the same feel or attachment for people. And the Ryder Cup has been happening since 1927. And people know that. They know the heritage. They know who all the players are who have played in it. All the greatest players in professional golf have, and on the men's side, have teed it up in this. Just on the women's side, Solheim Cup, the great players all playing it. So this is what gets our attachment to it. It's not because they're playing for $4 million for the fun little jersey and to sell some logos and to sell some other beers. That's not what it's about. So, I'm not trying to, denigrate the Live here or whatever, but it's not that. It's not that. And that's why we wake up early, and people will be waking up early to watch this being played in Italy starting September 29th. Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is too, what I am very happy about is that Brooks Koepka's on this team.
Yep. For sure.
I'm not the biggest Brooks Koepka guy.
Sure.
He sometimes rubs me the wrong way. Sometimes he rubs me the right way.
Why you like I think you're probably getting to that, but why do you like having him on the team?
Because he's an American golfer, and he is clearly still, with his performance in majors, still one of the best in the world.
Yep.
So this is not a PGA Tour event. This is a PGA of America event, which means he is a member of the PGA of America. He's a professional golfer in the U.S. that just happens to play on a different tour. He belongs
won
there.
The PGA Championship.
Yeah, he belongs there. There's no question. Even if he doesn't get in on points, just based on his performance in the majors alone, he deserves to be on this team. Now, some will argue, so well, why isn't Bryson DeChambeau there? Why isn't other Americans that are not
Taylor Gooch won three times on the Live Tour this year, or twice or three times.
Why aren't they there? Well, here's the thing, because I don't think that Bryson or Taylor Gooch have shown enough consistency when they do play against the best players in the world on whether it's not the PGA Tour, but in a major championship, that they deserve to be on the Ryder Cup team. Whereas Brooks Koepka would have got in, I think it was 30 points shy of a guarantee spot anyway, having played only 4 tournaments. I mean, man, that's
impressive.
And I think he had enough points. He probably would have got in the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, and I think, playing aside, I think the other thing that's happened as well with Brooks is that, if people watched, obviously, the Netflix series or whatever, they'll see that he didn't really cut ties. He didn't really spit venom about the PGA Tour. Not that, again, this is not a PGA Tour run event, but, it wasn't about, oh, I hate the other players, or they're doing this or doing that. He just did what he did for himself, is what he said. And he was very clear about that, but he didn't go out and run to the Live Tour with a flamethrower going behind him.
No,
which is part of the case that happened for other players. And whether we want to admit it or not, that certainly happens to play into decisions about other things. I mean, whether you're a corporate sponsor or you're involved with the tour, if you look at the behavior of somebody and what they've done, that's going to influence their decision about having them involved, whether they're deserving, whether you want to be involved with that person because of the actions that they've shown, right? It has to do with character. And really, when it comes down to it, we have to understand this is a team. I get it. They're trying to win, and only one team can win and one team can lose. It's not, there's not any degrees of it. It's black and white. It's one or the other. So you're just trying to put together the best team that you can, the best chemistry, and there's a lot that goes into it. And in the end, there can only be 12.
Well, that's it. Exactly. Now, speaking of that, for those that don't know, Sam Burns, Ricky Fowler, the aforementioned Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas were the ones that were selected to finalize the U.S. team roster for Rome. Rightly or wrongly, there is a lot of stuff bouncing around social media right now about the old boys club and so on and so forth. And so let's talk about that just for a second. Let's talk about.
And I think there's some of those opinions you don't know whether you can qualify them or not. They're just
Hank Haney needs to zip it. That guy just needs to zip it. And there's very few people in the world I don't want to hear in the golf industry. I don't want to hear much from. He and Brandel Chambly are two very important. I don't want to hear Brandel Chambly. Why the Golf Channel just doesn't dump that guy is beyond me, because his opinions make no sense.
Ratings.
I know. So here's the deal. I'm looking at the list that were chosen, and I'm looking at the ones that were not. And I'm the only one on the list, for me anyway, the only one on the list that really, to me, just purely on how did you play this year? That does not belong is Justin Thomas. He does not, the way he's played this year, he does not belong on this list. And you have to wonder if the choice to take him. Zach Johnson and Justin Thomas, very good friends. Justin Thomas, very good friends with Ricky Fowler, very good friends with Jordan Spieth, both who would, to me, are perfect picks. No issues there at all. Sure. But is he someone that was picked from a team perspective as opposed to a Keegan Bradley?
Yeah.
You know, that guy, and then he comes out talking about how he feels like he's not part of he's tried to insert himself with the regular Ryder Cuppers, and it's like, well, is that part of the problem? Is part of the problem that you're not with that group, so therefore Zach Johnson doesn't see you as gelling with the team as a captain's pick? Like, there's so many factors that go into play. Is that it? Because Justin Thomas on merit alone doesn't belong on this team.
Yeah,
on history, it belongs on this team, but
on history, right?
But on merit, now,
I think the difficult part is that, you know, we see situations here where, you know, people have criticized some of the teams in the past where they've said, "Oh, well, you know, we don't have enough camaraderie with the team," right? And then they come back, and then, you know, if they fail, they lose. And they do it based on paper, and then now people all of a sudden say, oh, okay, now you're picking on camaraderie, but oh, well, wait, it's not the best. I mean, you're not going to have it perfect. That's certainly the way it is. And you're right, the fact that they've done this list and it's pretty solid, you know, and maybe had one that's controversial. I mean, Cam Young was right there in points, and he got, you know, he obviously had a great year last year. He's been playing okay this year, but he's right up there in points. I mean, they could go 1 to 12 and they would still be fine as far as a team is concerned, but you know, they're looking for one extra little factor. And I think we've talked about it a little bit, in the fact that you know, when you're putting together a team, there's chemistry that has to be in there. And I mean, you know, we know even from a pairing standpoint, when we start to get into things, you got to have the right person to play with that person, and how it fits. And you know, they're not, it's not like they're just pulling names out of a hat here, right? They're looking at analytics. They're looking at how players work with each other. They're looking at who plays the same golf ball, who's in the style of play, who matches up to this golf course. I mean, it's frustrating because it's easy to judge based on social media and people just throwing opinions out there. But the only person that can tell us in the end is Zach Johnson. You know, and his squad of vice captains with Sink, Couples, Furyk, Davis Love, Steve Stricker, all their analytics people, all their people behind them, and determining why they put this player there. I will say, yes, Justin Thomas certainly stands out. Keegan Bradley's he's a giant killer. I mean, yeah, a lot of people get on him as far as, you know, putting routines and you know, habits and stuff like that. But you can't criticize for that.
Yeah.
But he's played so well. And, you know, I'd love to play a match with Keegan Bradley there. Not that I wouldn't love to play a match with Justin Thomas there, but Justin Thomas himself, I think the problem here for Justin Thomas is, while he wants to be on that team, and as you said, he's, you know, not deserving kind of based on this year. I'd almost say Justin Thomas should have pushed himself out of the picture. You know what I mean?
But he wanted to be there so badly. And here's the other thing to look at. Okay, so,
and I get he was the PGA champion not this year, the year before, right? So the year before.
The thing is, you look at the players on the team that are friends. I mean, they're all friends, but that are really close. Ricky, Jordan, Justin. I'm sure there's probably more.
Scheffler and Burns are best friends.
Okay,
so Burns as a pick is a pick there. That's part Scheffler. Of that from a chemistry standpoint. Not that, you know, and again, Burns is a fantastic player,
right?
But that is definitely a pick to help Scheffler and keep him comfortable.
Yeah.
So again, there's strategy that's there, right?
So I look at it and say, okay, if you don't pick Justin Thomas,
right,
and you take Keegan Bradley,
how
does that affect how those other 2 or 3 players that are really good friends with Justin Thomas affect how they see Keegan Bradley on that roster? So it's not even a case that they may like Keegan. They may look at him as a great player, and they may pair well with them when they play. But if Keegan gets the nod ahead of Justin Thomas, how do they feel about him being on the team when their buddy
Sure.
was just pushed off that they wanted to be there so badly.
Yeah, you can imagine they're behind the scenes advocating for that, saying, "Hey, you know what,
For sure. This is a great
would be
opportunity
great."
for us as a
Yeah, and you know, if you're the captain, you've got to recognize that. Again, we'll put it back in the microcosm of ourselves and in being involved with a match play event and a team event and whatever, and trying to pick up and match out not only playing abilities, but matching out personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You're matching out temperaments. You're matching out, if this guy goes off the rails, here's a guy who could talk him down. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so many elements. And again, we have, and I'm not saying we're at that level as far as, these guys, but I'm just saying from a coaching perspective, whether it's, golf or volleyball or hockey and involvement, we know that chemistry. I mean, man, it is so important. Sometimes you cut the better player because it just doesn't fit the team.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, you're not trying to put together a whole bunch of individuals. You're trying to put together a team.
No, that's
the goal
thing.
is to win.
Exactly. And having, obviously being as connected to hockey as I am and just finishing up going through, AAA tryouts and getting into AA tryouts are finishing up now, and you're seeing kids get cut and then talking to their parents about, he shouldn't have got cut. He was the best player on the ice, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that doesn't necessarily mean anything if the coach is not looking for that another one of those types of players.
Yeah.
He already has 6 of those.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want 7. He wants 3 other players that are not that.
Yeah.
That are more committed to defense or that, are more physical. Then you're making up a team.
That would be like picking a hockey team with all forwards and nobody who's ever played defense.
Well, can you imagine a hockey? You know what I mean? Well, exactly. Can you imagine an NHL team that all they had on the team was 9 players that wanted to score goals, 9 forwards or 12? It won't work because you got to have some of those guys got to play defense because the other team's going to have 6 or 9 forwards that want to score goals too. Yeah. And you're just going to have games that are 11-9.
Sometimes you need somebody who's going to be willing to throw their body in front of a puck.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's where it comes down to. And again, you know what? This is a difficult thing. He's got a lot for Zach Johnson. He's got a lot of pressures and things that are on here. Like I said, he could go 1 to 12, but maybe it doesn't fit. And you know what? Keegan now has said, hey, you know what? I need to focus up on, the team and behind it. You can go down 1 to 25 and you can come up with a team here. Right. Mm-hmm. But in the end, it's like, all right, I've got all the people that automatically qualified, the ones that are immensely qualified who just missed based on points. Now I got to put in the right pieces to make this work against what I'm probably going to face on the other side, which we know when it comes down to it, even though there's only 8 players out there at once, it still comes down to depth. It's not just the top guys playing well, because top guys against another top guy, who knows what's going to play out with that. Where you need to make the difference is the players down on the bottom, where you can try to gain a little bit of an advantage. And we're talking fractions here.
Yeah.
And there's no secret formula to it.
Where did Justin Thomas, sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Where did he finish up in points relative to Cam Young and Keegan Bradley?
I think he was like 14th. So,
okay. So there were even more guys ahead of him.
Yeah, not many though. But I mean, most of his points were based on last year.
Right.
Which is 15th. Denny McCarthy was a little bit was one ahead of him. Lucas Glover was at 16th, which obviously a lot of people were railing to, just because he was on form, and played of late. But again, and I hate that saying.
He has Ryder Cup experience, so doesn't he? Glover play Ryder Cup or President's Cup?
No, Ryder, but okay, I mean but again, you know what? Portraying it as the old boys club, I think, is the wrong way to portray it. It's portraying it as cohesiveness within players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a misnomer to call it the old boys club.
Well, I think if you're looking at
They're
this
friends,
I think if you're saying Cam Young and Keegan Bradley being 9th and 11th in points and ahead of Justin Thomas, that they get snubbed, screwed, whatever.
Right.
I think looking at the team that he's assembled,
Yeah.
this is a good team.
Oh yeah, it's a great team.
The fact that Justin Thomas hasn't played well this year,
Yeah.
and isn't really deserving from a points perspective, or on a current play perspective, is one aspect. But when you look at the team and the chemistry that you may have on this team, this is a good team. If you're trying to create chemistry with the best possible players, he can hide Justin Thomas.
Well,
Until the singles matches, he can.
But
He
don't
doesn't.
you don't have to hide him. He's a 15-time winner on the tour. He's
Well, no,
I know.
That's why I say.
And this is not against you. This is just saying against people that are railing and making it sound like they make it sound like they make it sound like he's a 25 handicap.
And we're talking about match play versus stroke play. So we're talking about being able to not do it all 18 holes, but do it on enough holes that you beat your opponent. The one thing I'll say is I know when you talk about choices, right? You look at, okay, this guy plays well, this guy pairs well with this guy, similar golf ball, type of golf course. First of all, as far as the type of golf course goes, I feel like you could throw that argument out the window. When you're talking about the top 12, 15, 20 players on this list, these guys play different golf courses all the time. Yes, they play better at some than others, but they also don't suck at the ones that they don't win
and
at.
this is not Le Golf National, which is like super narrow and whatever. Yeah, you know what? It's more of a, I won't even call it, it's a mishmash. I think it's a golf course that doesn't really favor either side. There's a good bit of elevation there. It's not super narrow. I think you're 100% right. I mean, you're right. These players are playing worldwide schedules across the world, and some of their successes have happened at some of these harder golf courses that you would consider, in some cases, more the European style golf courses. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you got major champions in there. They're playing against the best players in the world on, world-class venues. So throw out the golf course for sure.
Okay. So let's take a quick, because I know we're going to get up against it pretty soon here, but let's take a quick look at the European team, which isn't completely finalized yet because they still have the Omega European Masters that's going on right now.
So they'll decide on Monday. Luke Donald will make his picks.
But right now they've already got McIlroy, Rahm, Hovland, Hatton already locked in. Some guys that are sitting there right on the bubble that are either going to make it in automatically or not are Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood are right there. Now, I think that's a no-brainer on either one of them to be captain's picks, even if they don't get in automatically, because, I mean, these guys are outstanding golfers. Shane Lowry, to me, is a really good potential captain's pick. A bit of a dark horse pick, kind of like the Ricky Fowler of the European side. He's playing well. He's got to be a pick to get in there. What else do you think?
Well, I think Ludwig Aberg, who was the NCAA Player of the Year, turned pro just in June. Obviously, he's playing well. He's playing already well this week. He's definitely got the opportunity to jump in there. Yannick Paul's had a great year. Robert McIntyre, the lefty from Scotland, a mix as well. The pre-mentioned Adrian Moronk is in there. But again, but I mean, these guys have played well, and they played well at majors and stuff as well. I think that the struggle here is more for the Americans to kind of get over the hump on European soil.
Oh my God, was it six in a row on European soil?
No 30 years. So I mean, that might be more psychological than anything. The matchups have been pretty good. We have to say this hasn't been a one-sided affair over the last bunch of years. It's definitely been very competitive, and I think in the end, I mean, you cheer one side, you cheer the other. I just want to see some great matches. I mean, the final tally to me doesn't matter that much.
No,
from an entertainment perspective, which I might feel different if I was American or European. We're sort of we're a neutral party when it comes to this.
That's a good thing,
which is fun. But I think we can't take some of those picks lightly on the European side, because these guys can play, and they all play. I mean, think about it now. I mean, all these names, these people play a worldwide schedule. We see them all in the majors. We see them all. They all show up. So it's not like the old days where you're like, wow, okay, there's 6 guys here I've never even Like,
exactly.
who are they? So,
No,
but
I'm kind
Luke
of
Donald's got his hands full for sure.
I'm on the same page there. Basically, for me, watching the Ryder Cup, I'm watching the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the golf course. Watching the play. I'm into the matches. At the end of the day, come Sunday, I want the score from the team matches to be close enough that everything on Sunday matters. And then whoever's losing on Sunday, I'm going to be rooting for whoever's losing on Sunday to make up the gap, to make it interesting for the last few matches on Sunday. What I don't want to see is one team come out and just dominate, and then Sunday, the first two matches matter and the rest of them don't. Then it kind of just the sting's gone out of it. I gotta see some excitement on Sunday. I
want to see a lot of one-up matches. I don't want to see 86s and stuff like that. So, all right, here's a big question I have for you, and this may be our last one that we deal with here.
All right,
who do you think is going to be the star player for each side?
Who
do you think is going to stand out? And I'm not looking back at their previous records or whatever. I mean, this year, this time, a month from now, in Italy, who's not going to have far too many cappuccinos and pizzas, and is going to be able to perform and get it done?
I think that the star for the U.S. team is going to be Schauffele.
Okay.
And I think the star for the European team is going to be Hovland.
Yeah, I mean, that looks obvious right now in the way that he is playing, for sure. I mean, Javi's just been incredible of late, obviously winning the last two events. I'm going to go. Okay, so I think what you've done there is you've picked out two guys. All right, I'm going to go. Man, Schauffele's awful good. Schauffele's awful good. I'm going to think, and here's the thing. Maybe we'll pick out who we think the big rookie is going to be as well. I think Brooks is going to bring it.
Okay. I think he is too. But
I think they're going to be guys going to jump on his back, and he's going to go, and this will be his fourth appearance. I think he's going to win some points. European side, Fleetwood. I'll go Fleetwood. Javi's an easy one. He's going to play well, but I think Fleetwood. Fleetwood's been close this year with a lot of different things, and I think he's got something to prove. From an English side of it, he wants to do well for Luke Donald, and that's important. What about among the rookies?
Okay, so rookie for me is Brian Harman.
As a 36-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the European,
a bulldog, literally, but yeah.
On the European side, well, it's going to be tough because we don't really know who the rookies are going to be yet. But assuming the rookies are who we think from our existing list here, I am going to say that Aberg is going to be the rookie.
Yeah, so that's it for me from the European side. For the rookies, I think it's going to be. For the U.S., I'll go Sam Burns.
All right.
There we go. All right. Good stuff. We have a month for it to play out. But before that, which we'll get to in a future show, we'll talk Solheim Cup.
Yes.
Which should be fun this year as well.
Yes. So we'll get our ducks in a row and have some good conversation about that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Solid show, Mr. McLeod. Solid show. And as always, we're really thankful to all of our sponsors for helping make the podcast possible every week. Metcalf Golf Club, Castleview Golf Club, Kevin Haime Golf School, and of course our presenting sponsor this week, Adidas, with Ultimate 365 Tour, Heat Apparel, and ZG23 Vent Footwear, helping golfers handle the heat this season. The collection features a mix of silhouettes for men and women with heat-ready and no-show technology to keep golfers cool and dry. Both the ZG23 Vent and Ultimate 365 Tour apparel are available at adidas.ca, the Adidas app, and the selected retailers worldwide. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed the Ryder Cup talk, the instruction, a little bit of update. Looking forward to some more episodes coming up where we talk Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup. Be sure to follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. Interact with us, please.
Please.
Get over to flagstick.com for even more amazing golf content delivered every single day. As always, we do appreciate you tuning in, but until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.